Every so often, Muttonistas, I find myself in a position where I'm not sure what I want to eat and drink. I do like my Asian food, but I do like to stray from the norms of sweet and sour pork, lemon chicken and a chicken madras and so on, those creations which are not actually authentic. And in most of the UK it's actually quite difficult to find things that vary from the norm a bit. But luckily I happen to be on a cockney odyssey, yes, I'm in London. And thankfully I found a place that suits my needs, the Bang Bang Oriental Food Hall. So if you're in the same position as me when you're in London, or you want to try some new Asian cuisines you're not familiar with, this vlog's for you. Now, I got quite excited when I saw the menu here because Malaysian, Indian, Korean and some of the Sichuan dishes are things I don't see very much in the UK and Europe. Now, market eating is common in Europe. Asian market eating, not quite so. And of course, if you happen to be in Asia, you'll think, oh, you know, this is bog standard. We see this all the time. But hawker stalls, food courts are very much the rage over there. And I'm lucky enough to be able to find hopefully something similar, given the rave reviews I've been given here in London. So let's go in and mutton it up. Now, for those who want a traditional seated experience, they do have the Golden Dragon Chinese or Cantonese restaurant, but we want to go to the stalls and pick and choose. So I'm guessing we just order and pay at each stall, but I'd better find out exactly how it works because, just as for most of you folks, it's my first time here as well. So I'm with my friends here, Neeraj, Tim, Athena and Richard, who you've probably seen in previous videos, and they've told me you just go up to the counter and order. First stop for me, something I've had my eye on for a while, Vietnamese beef noodles. So whilst I've been away, Athena's got the first thing in. I've had these before, haven't a clue what the name is. Maybe
in Cantonese it's called Basil, and in English it's a pork bun.
Pork bun, okay. Chinese pork pie? Well, maybe not quite. There we are. It's got actually like puff pastry on the outside. And inside, char siu roast pork in a gravy, slightly sweet one. And time for a quick slurp.
And a fourth one.
And the house Chardonnay is actually quite passable. And a note on those little char siu puffs, they are on a lot of menus. I've seen them in Manchester and London for dim sum, and maybe in some other cities as well. They often run out pretty quickly because they're really popular with the Chinese customers. So, next up, Indonesian lamb chops. They look very meaty and very fatty. I don't know how we're going to divide them by 3. It might mean having to get another portion in. And maybe I should get a glass of red wine as well, so I can pick and mix what I'm matching when I'm eating. Okay, this does look a little bit uncouth to have a glass of red and a glass of white in front of me, but those lamb chops look so meaty. I can't really drink Chardonnay with them, so let's check this Argentinian Malbec out. Not bad, but again, it's that old British thing, a little too warm. And it's all happening thick and fast here because we're in a group. We're all scattering around and loads of dishes are coming out now. On the table we have some Chinese dumplings with vinegar, some Chinese cold Sichuan spicy chicken, and Vietnamese spicy noodle. Now, whilst I can't pronounce any Asian language, Vietnamese is particularly bad, but I think it's called bun hue or something like a spicy version of pho. And wow, I'm looking forward to biting into this. So fatty, so juicy. This is staying with mutton. I'm going to guard it so none of my friends pinch it. It's that good. It's actually coated in a slightly spicy and slightly sweet marinade. Very, very slightly sweet, nothing too bad. And it goes pretty damn well with the lamb. My team are in great form today. Another dish has flown out. It looks like Thai red curry fish. Red Thai curry sea bass. Time for a dumpling with a bit of vinegar. Are these called guo chi, these dumplings? Good.
It's fried, it has to be fried as well.
Okay, and what is this then? Just standard dumplings. Here we go.
Here we go.
So these are filled with meat. I've dunked it in vinegar. Now, something you're familiar with if you've ever been for dim sum, har khao, prawn dumplings, and prawn and chive dumplings. Now, maybe this isn't the dim thing, but I am going to dunk in that chili oil. Possibly not an authentic dip, but I like a bit of spice, as you well know. Now, over to that cold chicken. Now, this often comes on the bone, as indeed as this. Word of warning, this is spicy, but it's lovely. So spicy, we'd better have a quick slurp. Now, in many ways, this could be the acid test. I've had this so often, if they've messed it up, I'll be able to tell. No, that's pretty good. A little bit sweeter and lighter than you'd get if you were in Thailand itself, but more authentic than in your average Thai restaurant, I'd say for sure. Fish tastes fresh and tasty, and I do love the way the Thais crisp up their fish, whether it's to be served with the sweet chili sauce, garlic, or the curry sauce, or just on its own. A Mutton, the prawn with chive dumpling, possibly overdid it a bit with the chili oil here.
I'm going to drink this soup.
Again, that's something you can get at the more authentic dim sum places in the UK. So now for the Vietnamese noodle soup, the herbs, bean sprouts and chilies get unceremoniously plonked on top. I suspect this needs a little squeeze on top. Okay, these noodles are pretty hard to eat one-handed, so I'll have a bit of the beef first. Such a clear herbal broth, globules of beef fat dripping out all over the place. Now, the acid test, the noodles themselves. Right, Mutton's lesson in how not to use chopsticks properly. Oh man, yeah. Oh wow. The whole dish has seeped into every inch and pore of those noodles. They're spicy, they're meaty, they're herby. I can't stop eating these now. Okay, now another bowl of noodles in soup has arrived. Not quite sure what it is, but it appears to be with a fatty cut of beef. Now I thought the Vietnamese ones were with brisket, but I think they're just with beef. Whereas this does indeed look like your brisket. And what is in these soups? There seem to be some very fat noodles and some...
Yeah, it's handmade noodles, so the pullet themselves, it says handcraft.
Okay.
I'm ever so sorry, but...
A lighter soup than the Vietnamese one, but still very rich and meaty. And I made a bit of a schoolboy error. There was a lamb chop languishing in the middle, and I'm afraid Richard's grabbed it, and it's finders keepers, losers weepers. And the brisket? Oh yeah, beautiful fatty flavoursome cut of meat. Perfect for soups and stews in my opinion. Very, very slurp-worthy those noodles are. Our men are in such good form today that I'm going to have to go back to the crease and send another ball to the boundary. But oh no, I had intended to get something from the Korean, but sadly they seem to be closed now. So nothing for it but to go spicy now. Now even though I've just ordered a couple of dishes, I'm going to take a big safety play before this Malaysian closes. Oh, it is closed. But thankfully, I do believe that it is about to reopen in a minute's time. And I have to say, Muttonistas, I'm having a great time here today, trying out all these little bits of things with my friends. Is Mutton overdoing it today again? Well, yeah, possibly, but not by much. And I'd also say, best to come in a group here. The portions are quite generous, so if you're on your own, one big plate and one small plate is actually probably going to be enough. Okay, the fruits of my labour have been rewarded rather quicker than I'd expected. So first of all, from the Thai stand, we have pad Krapow pork with chilli, basil and garlic, served with a fried egg on top of the rice. Now, I have presented this dish to you in the past, but very few places do it authentically because the pork should be minced, which it usually isn't in the UK, but here they've done it correctly. But have they spiced it correctly as well? Now, I didn't ask for this spicy, but I've heard a report that it might be quite spicy.
Not too spicy.
Very good. I'd say that's almost exactly how it should be. It warms up at the finish as well. So now, let's try a bit with the actual fresh chilies. Now, if you have spice issues, be careful with those chilies. Not for children, shall we say. Unless they're Thai children, of course. Next up, Muttonistas. All those who are familiar with Szechuan food, they'll know this dish pretty well. One of the spiciest dishes on the menu in China, and that can be the case here, but in my experience does get quite sharply toned down. Anyway, down to the table, and this little beauty, brimming with red chilies and peppercorns, is called La Ji, Chong Ching style spicy chicken. And I think I'd better taste it for you, Muttonistas, and give you the full SP on how spicy it actually is here. Now, the trick to eating this, if you're worried about the spice, is not to eat these dried chilies and these Szechuan peppercorns, which some people describe as landmines. However, I've ignored my own advice completely and just dived straight in. And one more thing, Muttonistas, that chicken does come on the bone. They're very small bones, so don't just dive in and swallow it whole. And our final dish, or maybe it's not our final dish, but I think it's our final savoury dish, beef rendang, a Malaysian coconut curry with beef. Now, this looks a bit dry for a rendang, and I wonder whether I pointed to the wrong thing or ordered the wrong thing. Okay, there is a little bit more sauce than I thought underneath, but we won't know whether it's the real deal until we taste it. Now, it's been a long time since I've had one of these, but I have had them in Indonesia and Malaysia. Yeah. That is good, that is good. Spicy beef in a coconutty curry gravy with garlic shavings on top. It is the business. Anyway, time for me to carry on enjoying myself and finish off some of these plates, and I will see you, Muttonistas, when we're done. So I have to admit, I am completely stuffed over that. We did over-order. Never happened on this channel before, has it, folks? And as I said, one big dish and maybe a small plate, like some spring rolls or something. is about enough here. And if you're a small eater, probably just the big plate would do you. The prices are very reasonable and the portions are also quite generous, I must say. So it is a cheap afternoon or evening out if you decide to make this place your choice for your meal in the afternoon or the evening. Plenty of variety. Now, as for authenticity, well, it depended on what you ordered. Some things were, some things weren't. Nothing was bad, everything was good. Some things were better than others though. Yes, not quite what you'd get in Asia, but it's not that far off, and especially those noodle soups are pretty much what I'd expect if I were in Asia. But the one thing that really stood out was the minced pork pad krapow with basil and chilli. That is just how I'd expect to get it on the streets of Thailand. Although having said that, other than getting the fresh holy basil, it is basically a simple dish to make, so there shouldn't be a big difference really, and it was right on the money, as I said. Anyway, I'm going to have to love you and leave you now. Hope you enjoyed the vlog. Plenty more coming from the UK and abroad. Keep liking, keep sharing, keep subscribing, and whatever you do, don't forget, you can't beat a bit of mutton.